I'm down.
Well, welcome to this episode of Sooner Legends Podcast. As you can see, my special guest is Cody Light Stovall from Locked On Oklahoma State. He's a good friend of mine. Love his content, even though he wears that puke burnt orange.
Hey,
Cody,
this one's not burnt. At least we
well,
wear
yeah,
the appropriate shade of orange. All right.
yeah, it's Hunter Orange.
At least we know the color wheel a little bit better.
Yes. Well, Cody, welcome to Sooner Legends Podcast, my man. Uh, we got a lot to talk about what's going on up there in Stillwater. Let's go ahead and just shoot from the hip. What's going on up there, brother?
Well, it appears as though that Mike Gundy is out as the Cowboys football head coach. And, naturally, there's going to be a decent amount of people that feel negatively about it, just like I think there's going to be some people that are somewhat excited about it. Now, my personal perspective is going to be that of more of the recruiting angle, right? That's what I get to do and travel covering some of the recruiting stuff. And Mike Gundy just honestly – all he had to do was accept a new deal, and he would be fine. Now, I also understand the counter argument to that, which is Mike Gundy's given us, 35 years, essentially 36, right? And
Right.
he deserved another year. And that's kind of in the camp that I fall in. I thought Mike Gundy should have been put on a smaller deal a couple of years ago, right? I was never a fan of the 5-year revolving thing. I thought that was the most disastrous contract I've literally ever heard of. And if there's going to be something that everybody learns from this, it's that you do not give any coach a 5-year automatically revolving contract because it does this, right? It puts him in a position where it can inspire complacency amongst the staff. And I firmly believe that Mike Gundy bet a lot of his future success on the guys like Casey Dunn being able to run things for him in some of his absences. And it just it doesn't seem as though it worked out that way. He had an opportunity to agree to a restructure that would have come with some stipulations, and it appears as though he did not do that. Now, the only thing that could change is the Board of Regents were very adamant that there was going to be a 5 o'clock deadline. Obviously, that has come and gone, and Mike Gundy did not take that original deal. But you're also hearing that he is asking for more time. So there could still be some small sliver of hope for Mike Gundy to kind of, I don't know, make cooler heads prevail and have conversations over the weekend. But unless something miraculous happens over the weekend, we seem to be starting a new era in Cowboy country.
Yeah. The way I read it, Cody, is they wanted to downsize his contract, and what was left was going to go toward the NIL. Am I pretty spot on with that? Or
I mean, that was something that was floated out earlier, and obviously there's going to be contractual reasonings that's not like precisely right. You can't take money from a coach and give it to NIL. That doesn't exactly work that way. But I think the sentiment remains that they did ask Mike Gundy to take a little bit of a shaving. And they asked him to kind of relinquish a few of the years that are on the contract. And theoretically, what they would be able to do with the savings is apply it somewhere like NIL, I think was the gist. But regardless of whether it was a head coach in waiting style of deal where you have 2 years or if it was just an out and out, you have to accept this. All indications are Mike Gundy said, F you. I'm going to take my ball. I'm going to go home. I'm going to make you pay me my $25 million.
Cody, I love the way you put words, man. I'm going to take my ball.
It just is halfway logical, right? You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
The sentiment that I find somewhat troublesome in Mike Gundy not agreeing to take a little bit of a shaving here is because he does preach about being loyal and true and about how he only wants people in Stillwater that are dedicated to Oklahoma State. And so because of that, I really anticipated Mike Gundy being willing to at least, have this cooperative conversation about a restructure. But there's also the ego side. Every single coach in the country has an ego. You would prefer that your coach does have an ego, right? You don't want a timid Mickey Mouse running around everywhere. You want a dog that's also on the sidelines as well.
Right. Right.
But you have to learn to, kind of walk that fine line. And you can
Right.
say crazy stuff. You can talk about driving drunk 1,000 times whenever you're winning. You can
Yeah.
talk about how your fan base is too poor and they can't afford to feed their families when you're winning.
Winning.
You cannot say all that stuff while being 0-9 in conference. This is the first time we've gone over in conference play since 1994. So just like I err on the side of, I think Mike Gundy should have gotten a 1 to 2 year deal to try to restore who he was, because it is going to be hard to build a statue now if he's no longer going to be the guy, right? You're going to have to let some of the animosity die down just a bit. So I do think it could have gone more amicably, obviously, but at the same time, I understand the argument that it was time to move on, because if college football has more realignment coming, it's not like Oklahoma State is safely in the top 30, top 40, right? We're probably hovering in that 35-ish range as it sits right now. So if you listen to the words that former NCAA president Mark Emmert had to say, that there might become a time where it becomes like a 2-divisional deal. So essentially you'll have 2 divisions of the top 20 teams in the country. Well, if you're taking the top 40 teams in the country for the next round of realignment, Oklahoma State might be right there. But if we have another 3-win season or a 5-win season, I don't think Oklahoma State has a lot of wiggle room to stay within that realignment picture. And that is why I think this was a business decision. Now, people are going to get caught up in their feelers about how disrespectful it is to, kind of give somebody an ultimatum whenever he's given you 20 to 35 years. But at the same time, a lot of the border regions now have gone through an influx over the last, 24, 30-ish months. And Governor Stitt has appointed people. So not all of these individuals are going to be Oklahoma State alums. Therefore, they're looking at this from a business standpoint. And 3-9 is bad business whenever you are paying a running back $800,000 and you're paying a quarterback $270,000. You cannot have 20 returning starters. And finally, people pitch in for NIL to bring everybody back and this be the product without there being ramifications.
Exactly. Cody, one of my chatters had a question for you. How many starters are returning for Oak State next year?
There's no telling now, but if I were to guess, it would be like 3.
Well,
I
Cody,
mean, if there's anybody on the roster that's kind of had that hesitation of, should I get to the portal, should I not get in the portal, this is certainly going to tip them in one direction or the other, right? So
right.
If you're part, and I've talked to some of the players on the current roster, and there is a sentiment, there is a group of people that want to be part of the rebuilding of Oklahoma State football, regardless of what the semantics look like. But likewise, there's going to be a group of people that came here because of Gundy, or they came here because of Nardo, or because of Joe Bob Clements, right? Those individuals are obviously going to have a foot out the door.
Oh, and Cody, I know this seems like bad timing and everything, but damn, we got the transfer portal opening up Monday, and that, as the old adage says, when it rains, it pours. And me being an Oklahoma fan, don't think I'm relishing in this. I'm thinking, God dang, can anything else go wrong up there at Stillwater?
Well, regardless of which side of the aisle you fall on, right? The Gundy should stay forever until he dies on the sideline side, or if you thought that Mike Gundy should have been let go a year and a half ago, whichever the side of the aisle that you fall on, there's no comfort in any of this, right? Because even if you fall on the side of, okay, thank the heavens, Mike Gundy is gone, we can now move on. If you're in that camp, well, then you have to at least have some trepidation now that it's likely over, that if you're going to get your wish, but you could end up like in Nebraska, right? That is a possibility. But there's the flip side of the coin as well, right? You could end up like what's his face over at Indiana.
Yeah.
If
exactly.
the pieces fall right, this whole idea that Mike Gundy is the only reason that Oklahoma State's had any success, I do personally find as a bit of a fallacy, because without Mike Holder and Boone Pickens, I don't think Mike Gundy has the success that he has, right? But Mike Gundy is the one that put the coordinators in the right spots. And let's face it, his idea behind hiring the gyms that nobody's really looking at the D2, D3 guys. That worked for Mike Gundy for a long time until it didn't. And then when it didn't, it hit him like a ton of bricks. And I think that's part of the transfer era and the NIL era. It's just, you have to be much more communicative now. And I don't know that Gundy's going to ever kind of, run himself in that direction.
Well, Cody, I have to give props to you because this happened a month or so ago. And I put it on loop to repeat was when Mike Gundy tried headbutting old Bessie.
I actually, I texted our buddy Jason Watkins like a week ago, and I made a comment that Mike Gundy keeps saying crazy stuff because he's still concussed, right? he got a concussion from the cow, and he suffered through it, and we're not being very welcoming of his concussion protocol. I will admit that one.
Now, y'all didn't Gundy fire an OC in the DC in the past couple of days, Cody?
Technically, yes, that did happen. But now herein lies the question. Was it a situation where Mike Gundy offered both Brian Nardo and Casey Dunn demotions to become position coaches and stay on staff, and he was overruled on that? That could be part of the equation as well. So theoretically, yes, Mike Gundy did fire both the OC and the DC. But the more that this thing kind of trickles out, it feels like Mike Gundy was pushed to do things, and he eventually just had enough of it, basically.
You know, Cody, there's probably enough parity between both schools that we could sit here and write a book about it, because it's happened to Oklahoma. It's happened to Oklahoma State. I mean, good gosh, we've had our share of parity over the years.
Well, dude, I'd be a liar if I didn't tell you that the only bright side of this season for us was that OU had obviously a disastrous season as well. Not as bad as ours, but OU was having such a bad season, they didn't jump on us for having our worst season in 20 some odd years. So
no,
I do have to thank Brett Venables at least a little bit for not making the shade thrown at Oklahoma State country somewhat bearable.
Yeah. Well, and here's a question I was wanting to, and I'm going to piggyback off of what happened here at OU. We fired Seth Luttrell, who was little Hitler wanting to control everything at the program. And so you can't, the old adage is you don't want to hire an OC in the middle of the season. That's smart. But here's what I was looking for in an OC, and I'm wanting to know if it's what you're looking for in a head coach. So we fire Seth Luttrell, and I said all season long, I want an OC that the only way they know about Oklahoma football is what they've seen on TV. I don't want no more ties to Bob Stoops. Don't want no more ties to legacy players, all that. I want a new fresh of eyes, new verbiage, new adage, and we got Ben Arbuckle. Is that what you're wanting with a new, possibly head coach at Oklahoma State?
No, not entirely, actually. I do think that there's some things that Mike Gundy has put forth over the years that do make a lot of sense. Like that he's put forth, Oklahoma State football has to be successful in order for our other sports to financially have the capability to be successful as well. I agree with that. Just like I also agree with Mike Gundy in saying that Oklahoma State is somewhat of a unique place, not just because of finances. No, of course, we don't have OU money, and we're not going to go spend OU money either. It's not like we're down there at the barrels of Tulsa money per se, but we don't have the luxury of being able to turn over our staff, financially speaking, every 3-4 years if need be. OU does. There's a lot of teams in the SEC that have that capability. So they can cycle through coaches until they find the right one. I don't think Oklahoma State is in that position. I do think that it's going to take a Zach Robinson style of guy that has those connections, that wants to take on the responsibility, but also is willing to stay there for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah. I've been hearing some, now you can say it's rumors or what have you, but I've been hearing some scuttlebutt that maybe y'all might be going after Brandon Marion out of UNLV.
Yes. So I do know that there's 2 coaches that we've made multiple rounds of interviews with, him being one of them, the other being Brian Smith, who's the defensive coordinator at Rice. I know that we've reached out to Joe Craddock at Tulane, right? And supposedly we've tried to bury the hatchet
Are you
with
there?
Holgorsen. So we were
Did we
making
freeze up?
moves. I'm sorry?
Oh, Lord.
Can you not hear me?
Yeah, I think you froze up, Cody.
Oh. I have that effect on computer screens, I guess.
Did your internet go on a trip with Willie Nelson?
It very well may have. And if so, I might be slightly jealous of that particular trip, right? I tell you, there's it's crazy that I haven't popped the top today. But there's just been so much going on. I will wholeheartedly tell you that this last 72 hours has been the busiest in my career doing this, right? It's only been a couple of years, but my phone has gone to sleep with me. It wakes me up, and it's constant, man. It's constant. And that's the thing, is you got to try to sift through, like I heard a couple days ago that there was going to be a presentation to Gundy of an ultimatum. And even that I thought was, I don't know, it just seemed unlikely. It seemed unlikely that we would do that if we know that there's a potential that it could cost us $24 million if we called Gundy's bluff. But evidently, it seems as though that happened. So either we have the 25. Now, I did hear that we had somebody pony up 13 million, 13.2-ish, like yesterday. Yeah, so somebody definitely chipped in. And we have the ability to come up with the rest, or else we would have not have pushed Gundy to this degree, right? That's the other side of the equation. I think we've had 2 different sets of conversations. I think Mike Gundy's had conversations with somebody like a Brennan Marion and as well as a Brian Smith about coming in to be the DC, the OC under Gundy. I think those have absolutely happened. You can just tell by the flights and the meetings that Mike Gundy has had and the states that he has been in over the last few days. Those meetings are definitely happening. But I firmly believe that on the other hand, they've also had those, well, what if conversations as well.
Right.
But like a Todd Monken. There's no way Todd Monken is going to leave the NFL for anything other than a big-time head coaching job, right? So you don't have that conversation with Todd Monken unless it's Mike Gundy might balk at this, this next meeting. And if he does, would you be interested? I would imagine that conversation has been had as well with guys like Todd Monken and Zach Robinson and potentially even Jim Knowles or Marcus Arroyo. So there's no way that we went in today's meeting blind, right? From a board of regent, athletic director, and president standpoint. I would imagine we have 2 lists. We have the list that was going to be the DC and OC for Gundy, and then we have the list that was going to replace Gundy. I don't think that we forced Gundy's hand this way without both of those lists being pretty comfortable right now.
Yeah. I got to give a shout out to Dr. Bishop Frank, our good friend. He gifted a member for a month on my channel. Thank you so much, Bishop. Bishop is by far one of the finest men to ever breathe the fresh air. So go on.
You got comments over here, dude. I didn't even see these. Oh, you got Kim in the building. Oh, you got some people. You got Bishop.
Yep.
All right.
Sooner, Texas, Purple Orca, Thunder OU Sooner, Kimberly K, our first lady of Sooner Nation, Colin McPherson. Welcome in, Bagman. Welcome in, y'all. We thought we'd take a time to give y'all a shout out. And y'all don't know how long I have been wanting Cody on my show. I had to go find him on the back of a milk carton.
I'm trying to blend in as much as physically possible.
Right. We I know the bit on Jason's show all the time. We always say, has anybody done a welfare check on Cody Light?
You know what, man? I needed some of that this season. I've never really been super apologetically bashful on my personal opinions about Mike Gundy. But I will admit that I kind of bought some of the mystique of last season as well. right?
Right.
Mike Gundy diving back in, working 13, 14 hours again, and going on that run. But I think what this year showed us was that was a little bit of a mirage. That was more of people not knowing how to stop Ollie Gordon, obviously, number one. And number two being, if Mike Gundy wanted to work 13 to 14 hours a day every day, he would have been doing it for the last 15 years.
Right.
And I do think that whenever he hired Sean Snyder, that was because Mike Gundy wanted Sean Snyder to handle all the special teams. So that I think that's another part of this conversation that maybe not being talked about a whole lot is there's no way that Mike Gundy got let go this way off of just 1 3-9 season, right? And that's what you are hearing. I can't believe Oklahoma State would do that. How stupid are they after one bad year? There has to be more to this scenario for this to take place this way, whether it's something off the field. If it is something off the field, then it will be coming out, I would imagine, here before too long. And if it's not something off the field, then it's something that dates back further than just this year. Right? Chad Weiberg knew of the issues last season. He knew they got fixed for the most part, but he knew what the issues were whenever we were sucking everything up and losing to South Alabama, right? Just like Chad Weiberg knew what the problems were in 2022, Spencer Sanders and the split in the locker room and Gundy getting on the headset and overriding and all this fun. Chad Weiberg has known about some of the things that Mike Gundy has done over the years that have been problematic. Beyond that, even, Chad Weiberg has been associated with Oklahoma State since the early 2000s, late 90s, because his brother was on that plane flight of the Eddie Sutton crew that crashed. And now I see this big, ugly, ogre-looking mother trucker in up. What's up, buddy?
What's up, big dog? What you doing, man?
Jason, look, you see this?
Baby face weirdo.
Well, I'm cheesing because it's a decent day. Now, I do think Gundy should have got another year. I think he deserved that. But
whoa. Did they fire him?
He refused the deal by 5. So unless they restructure something over the weekend, it's a done deal, homie.
Get the fuck out of here. I don't believe it. Really?
And the question is, do we have the $25 million, or do we feel like we have something to get rid of him with cause?
Yeah, I guess I was going to ask you that because it feels like somebody said something about if he had to fire his whole staff or like coordinators or whatever, that there was something in the contract that they could get out of it, or at least pay it out slowly or something, maybe?
No, it was just stipulations on him relinquishing control of hiring the OC in DC and the implementation of the new systems, as well as reorchestrating from a 5-year deal to like a two-year deal type of scenario. And then I've also been told that there's a possibility they pitched head coach in waiting scenario. Regardless, whatever they pitched to Mike Gundy, it looks like he said, screw you guys, I'm going home.
I'll be damned. I'll believe it when he's actually out of there, but okay. Wow.
And that's what we were talking about earlier. Like, even though it seems to be an inevitability that it's more likely over, it's still Mike Gundy. It's still Oklahoma State. I just feel like there's still a possibility that somebody makes a phone call this weekend to hash some things out. But what I do know is Mike Gundy, regardless of how it looks, if he comes back or he's not the coach or isn't the coach, if he is the coach, he will not have full control over the OC, DC, and the systems that are implemented, though.
Oh, is that right? So that's what it is. It's a control thing for him, and he wants to be able to. He doesn't want to be on anybody's leash, right?
That seems to be the common consensus at the moment. Yes.
Wow. Go figure. What do you think about that, Legend?
What's that?
What do you think about that? That's wild, isn't that? That's wild to me,
dude. I have been on Twitter, refreshing. This is, I mean, and like I told Cody at the beginning of the show, I'm not going to throw shade at OSU because of our season, and
I will. I will. Let me do it. Can I do it?
Hey, listen, right now, at this very moment, I mean, I'm kind of untouchable, right? Oklahoma State, it's just a new age. It's a new era. We're undefeated
Who's it
under the
going to
new
be?
era. Jason, let me have my moment.
Who's it going
Let
to
him-
be? Well, who's it going to be? Is it GJ and the boys?
Huh?
Who's going to be the newbie? Is it going to be GJ, Kenny, and the boys?
I'm leaning more towards Zach Robinson, Todd Monken, or Jim Knowles.
as the head coach, or
Yeah.
That's a terrible place to lean towards, dude. It's GJ. It's got to be GJ.
I mean, I don't know, man. You
I
know
can
my
see
thoughts on GJ.
Monken or Knowles for sure. I can see Monken or Knowles.
You know my thoughts on GJ. I think he is the best up and coming coach in the game.
I
But
do too.
I was telling Legend a little bit earlier. I think that you do need some ties to Oklahoma State to kind of build this thing out somewhat future wise. You know what I mean?
Why?
Unless if you get a GJ Kinney and he takes Oklahoma State to higher levels, he's gone in 3 years. I'm not saying that that's a massive ordeal, nor should it be, but it would be much more ideal to get a Todd Monken or a Zach Robinson or a Jim Knowles simply because there is a little bit more of a connection there, obviously more so with Todd and Zach.
I don't know. I've never really been of the opinion that you have to have a constant or anything there. I think if you build something that what somebody like him, like GJ, would be trying to build, right? That whoever would have to take that over would be taking that over. Would be you've kind of started a new era, and I think if you get a guy like GJ, your thoughts are we're going to the damn playoff now.
mm-hmm.
Well, he's damn
And
sure
so
going to score enough to get you pretty close.
I think so too, and I don't even know that. I think that yeah, he's young. He's there's a lot of stuff that you still have to prove, but I would say that he's done it and then some. And to me, they're building kind of their own little culture within that group of guys. And I think that the team of coaches that he has with him, I don't know. It just feels like you start a new lineage there that you don't really worry about. You don't have to keep a guy for 20 years, and maybe that's not even what college football is anymore. To be quite honest with you, in this day and age, right? I don't know, but I think you need to. I think you need a new way of thinking overall in college football. I think no matter where you are, I think that you have to be embracing the mini NFL model, or else.
Dude, you're 100%, and that's all this is, right? This is
Yeah.
a Board of Regents business decision.
Mhm.
They don't give 13. Let's just call a spade a spade. The Board of Regents, they don't give 13 shits about who's loyal and true and who's not.
They
It's
do not.
a business, and they cannot continue to be successful or profitable or be able to divvy up money to other sports or be able to maintain enough money for NIL and recruiting if you're having 3-9 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And you're
and
calling your fan base poor and broke and
sticking your foot in your mouth all the time, saying
Yeah.
dumb shit. Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I think that I said it a couple of weeks ago that Oklahoma State cannot be serious about winning if they keep him any longer. I just didn't feel like there was any other way, and I said it out loud and straight. I mean, that's exactly how I feel about it. If you're serious about becoming or staying wherever you think you are, if you really want to be the top of the Big 12 or in the conversation of being in a playoff situation more years than not, you got to.
Yeah.
He has to go. He has to go.
Well, I mean, yeah, I was okay with a complete re-overhaul, right? New staff, new OC, new DC, new O-line coach, new D-line coach, and giving Gundy another year or two. I was perfectly okay with that. What I was not okay with was the continuation of the contract. And that's my biggest frustration with Mike Gundy, evidently not being willing to come to the table. Is I really thought that he would, because I didn't think Mike Gundy would want to go out
He doesn't
as
have
the guy
to.
who finished 3-9.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to, though. He doesn't have to. Y'all already think that he's won more games than anybody else at the school, right? He's
Yeah.
already the quote unquote go. I mean, he thinks
Right.
that, and I think that he's, and to some extent, I'd even say I understand why he feels that way. He's gotten away with too much shit to think that he has to do anything else, right?
Yep. Yeah, no, that's it, right? And I've been told that there's been some animosity with a few people since 2020. Evidently, Mike Holder got every coach on campus to agree to a 30% reduction for COVID. and Mike Gundy was the only one who declined it or something to that effect. So there's been some bad blood for a while. And I do know that, like, again, the Board of Regents have gone through a lot of shifting and changing anyway. So it's going to be more business predicated than ever before. But yeah, there's been people.
Doesn't have quite as many allies in there. Doesn't have quite as many allies.
There's been some people on the education Gallagher side, as they say, that has felt like Mike Gundy's gotten a little bit too big for his britches.
Yeah.
Starting to go bad for the school.
Yeah, I mean, it was getting to a point where he was kind of a runaway locomotive, and they couldn't really bring him. They couldn't really reel him back in.
Would you say it was? Would you say it was almost borderline toxic, Cody?
I mean, yeah, yes, actually, I would. I mean, maybe not that exact word, definitionally speaking, but I can tell you wholeheartedly, complacency was the issue this year.
Yeah.
Complacency allowed the coaches to play their favorites because their favorites were seniors instead of paying attention to the grading all week. Because there is no way that you can look at the grading throughout practice all week and still start the same guys over and over. We had guys walking on the field live during the plays. And then
you're 0-4, 0-3, 0-4, and you're still playing the same dude every week. It's stupid.
And then if you notice, when we did play true freshmen, they played better than the starters 90% of the time.
Yeah, they did.
And nobody can say that Oklahoma State was completely devoid of talent. It wasn't a talent issue. It was the coaching allowed everybody to get so lazy that they weren't showing up at 4 a.m. to get extra workouts in because they didn't have to anymore. They were going to start no matter what. And I think that became infectious. And if you're a backup, right, and you're beating the guy every week in practice, but you know he's going to start anyways, eventually you're going to get so frustrated that you're ready to move on as well.
Yeah, I know exactly where Cody is coming from because we had one player all this year that we was wanting, and we finally seen him toward the end of the season, Xavier Robinson. And what did Dexter do? He went out and lit it the fuck up, dude. And he's
pissed everybody off that he hadn't been playing all year.
Yeah. So Cody,
Sooner in Texas just said Kotelnicki. Yeah, that would be. That's a name that hasn't been talked about enough. Sooner in Texas, that's a really good one because Andy Kotelnicki made Jalen Daniels and Devin Neal look like Heisman contenders all day, every day.
Yeah.
And then he leaves.
And then Jason Bean was a freaking real starter.
He made Jason Bean look like a gangster too.
He did, brother. He did. I think Kotelnicki was at the top of our list for OCs, but I like the guy. I think he's really good. What do you think about? I've been hearing a lot of Brennan Marion talk. What do you think about that one?
Hey,
I think he was going to be the OC if Gundy was the head coach.
Oh, okay.
Can I catch it?
Yeah, no, there's no way Brandon Marion gets a head coaching spot.
Please do.
Can I catch this super chat right quick from Chicken?
Duh.
Sally Struthers.
Shut up.
How dare you make your money, legend? How dare you?
Sally Struthers is heading to Stillwater to film her next commercial for the fans.
Is it sad that I don't know who that is?
She played on All in the Family on Archie Bunker.
It is pretty sad, bro.
I guess.
Yeah, that's sad. That's sad, Cody. You've been living under a rock.
Damn it! I just lost a point. There we go.
Oh, nah, you're cool.
You're so far behind with being an Okie Light fan, it don't even matter.
Hey, but we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there because
I'm actually very happy for you, Okie Light Cody. I'm very happy for you.
I know you are. You and I have had several heated conversations via the phone over Mike Gundy. You've heard me rant and rave about things I hate about Mike Gundy.
Yeah.
And last year,
favorite pastime of mine to talk shit about him.
Well,
so, yeah.
I will tell you, whenever I was on my show talking about how it looks like Gundy turned a new leaf and he's working 14 hours a day again, you called me and you were like, "It ain't gonna last. You're just bullshitting yourself, Cody." It ain't real. It's all fake. Mike Gundy's going to go back to just allowing whatever to happen. Yeah.
I mean, when am I wrong? That's all I got to say. When am I wrong?
Only on days ending in Y.
No, listen, I think that, look, and I've said this. I mean, I always would end those conversations with, "Hey, I hope they keep him forever." But to be fair, I think it's when you start talking about it and thinking about the fans of Oklahoma State is that they come out and support that program the way that they do, week in, week out, and I thought that there's no way that they can keep him. Not just the record, forget the 0-9, which is wild in and of itself.
Right.
Wild in and of itself, right? But the fact that rather than owning it, and we talked about this. We talked about this a lot lately with the whole. There's a lot of crazy shit going on at Oklahoma too, but Brent Venables is almost. He owns everything to a fault, even stuff that we don't really feel like is necessarily his decision. Things that are happening, you know what I mean? That it's,
Yeah.
but accountability is not a thing for him. He's fully accountable for it, and that's not what you see from him, from Mike Gundy. It's not what you see from guys like Brian Kelly, Lincoln Riley, that kind of stuff, and I feel like the accountability was when you put that off on those fans that you've asked to show up and show out and be loud and donate, and then you tell them it's their fucking fault. I mean, it's not good. It's not good. I didn't feel like there was a way they could do it.
That's the biggest cog in the machine that started this wheel turning. There's something else outside of football that I feel pretty confident will come out that was part of this as well. But the other biggest factor was that statement right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever Mike Gundy said that, and what you're looking for is accountability. If Mike Gundy would have said after the Colorado game, like, listen, everybody, I screwed the pooch here. I effed the season up. I put the wrong people in charge. I let it get out of control. This one's on me. I swear to God, I'm going to fix it. If that would have happened, I don't think we have this issue today.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. Instead of Mike Gundy falling on a sword and saying, I did this, I screwed this season, I will fix it, he was saying that the only people complaining are too poor and too broke to take care of their families.
That was dumb. That was so dumb.
Dude, I was driving when I got that, and I was like, there's no way he said that. So
I didn't believe it at first. I was like, he did not. Come on.
Yeah. I had
Sorry,
to
Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
Too, because I thought I must have been day drinking because it didn't make any sense.
Wow. Yeah.
No, down here where I live as a crow flies probably an hour south of Stillwater. Gotcha. And we've got OSU fans by the bundles because what does OSU offer that OU don't? Agriculture.
Right.
So these are all farmers. But anyway, my point is whether win or lose, I have never seen a fan base support a team like OSU. They like going 0-9 this year. Man, they was flying their orange, supporting. And then when Mike Gundy comes out and says this, that was a direct slap in the face to your fan base.
Well, dude, even after that. So I went to the Texas Tech game that was a couple weeks after he said all that stuff.
Go ahead, yeah, sorry.
And even that game, I was surprised with how packed the stadium was. I fully intended on walking in there or rolling in there, whatever. But I fully intended on rolling up in there and it being a half-empty stadium. I was amazed that it was full. I couldn't believe it.
That's good. And that's what I was saying. I felt like if they didn't fire him, first off, yes, as I said earlier, you can't look at yourself as a serious program, right? Mm-hmm. But I also think that you are showing your fans that they mean about as much to you as what he said, which is very little. And that's a slippery down slope for any program, particularly one that isn't, necessarily like a all the time winning championship type of deal, right?
Hey, I don't understand it either, Thunder OU, but it was what it was.
Chicken
Well, I
sent
can't say
another.
that. I went. Sorry, I'll shut up.
Chicken sent another $10. She's bringing Ethiopians to help Cody. Sally Struthers.
I can't say nor speak the word Ethiopian, so that's probably why that one flew way over the chicken coop for me. Chicken.
Sally Struthers, yeah, she's that makes sense. That checks out.
Yeah.
But that's wild.
That tracks, huh?
Yeah.
You know, I will say this as it pertains to Chad Weiberg and Dr. Casey Strum. Yeah, guys, let's play no secrets here. Dr. Strum, I think, wants to run for governor at some point in time. And I think she is very well aware she's not going to have a very good campaign if she was the president while Oklahoma State football went in the toilet. So I think that there was a lot of pressure here. And one thing this does accentuate to me is that 3-9 at Oklahoma State is no longer acceptable. It was 25 years ago, but it is not anymore.
No.
And for that, I can be appreciative. Now, of course, you do run the risk of becoming a Nebraska, right? You do. You run that risk. But as we said earlier, you also have the capability of it turning into a TCU type of scenario or an Indiana type of scenario. Indiana, dude, he's a first-year coach with a whole team of nothing but transfers.
Cody, let's not get crazy and act like you have a coach that won a bunch of national championships. That's not what you got. So, I mean, I know he won more games than everybody else, but it's not like you're losing the savior of Oklahoma State football. You actually have an opportunity because there is the things that were put in place as far as, because I think that you guys have done really good with Pokes with a Purpose. I think you guys have done really good with the facilities for sure. You're among the better facilities in the country, no doubt about that. You know that. I know that. You have to capitalize on that and not think of it as, oh, we're losing the best coach of all time. It had well since run its course, and the guy didn't really win that many anyway.
Well, Ian, we've had this debate on your show even. Yeah, Mike Gundy's famous because he wins a shit ton of games. My frustration,
just not championship games.
Exactly. That's my frustration with Mike Gundy has always been 9-10 wins. It's awesome. It's great. It's good to have it. I'm so happy that we do because, yes, when I was going to Oklahoma State games as a kid, winning 7 games was a flipping Super Bowl. All right.
Right.
I get it. But at the same time, it's like Mike Gundy raised the bar. Right. And once you start winning 10 games, 10 games, 10 games, 9 games, 11 games, 8 games, 10 games, when that becomes the expectation, eventually you've got to win 12. You've got to win titles. And that's what's not been happening. And then obviously, you know, Jason, I've talked to you about being out on the recruiting trail. In the state of Texas, there's a decent amount of coaches that don't think very fondly of Mike Gundy. And he
doesn't pay any attention to him.
They don't have the warm and fuzzy feeling about sending their kids to Oklahoma State. Those are the reasons that I think this makes sense.
I think so too. And I think that you can get, that's why I think the GJ Kinney route is such a good route because of the fact that he's young, energized, he's in Texas. Let me just preface all that by saying I hope you don't get GJ Kinney. But I think he would be the best guy for that because of the fact that this is a young, energized group of guys that would really do some things that you're not going to get otherwise. And they would instill their own little winning culture kind of thing, and you don't have to have a long layoff. I think that if you didn't capitalize on what you guys have as far as resources and all that other stuff now, though, yes, you could fall back into the abyss. But I don't think that that's where Oklahoma State is, and I think that by firing it, they're proving that that's not where they're headed back to. They're not willing to go back there. You have to have the backing of the board and all that other stuff and the president, but sometimes they might care, sometimes they may not. But I think that you'd have to be crazy to not think that that's an important part of your university. We all know that sports it's like the front porch of your school. You know, that's how you get people to enroll to your school is because of it has a lot to do with it, right? I think that they had to do that, man. They had to do it. And I think that you actually have a really good chance of taking it to another level because he was still mediocre.
Well,
He was
and
still mediocre.
I'll flip this one and I'll send it back to Legend. Playing devil's advocate, right? The bright side is Chad Weiberg just showed everybody 3-9 at Oklahoma State is no longer acceptable. But right, the opposite side of that argument is always obviously going to be, well, you can't get anybody better. Do you personally find that argument for some Oklahoma State fans viable? I'm talking to Legend, Jason. I know your damn opinion.
Now repeat that, Cody, because I was going to make a mention. We got 65 people in the chat and only 10 likes.
Oh, hell no.
That's unacceptable. Why
hit the clip and like? Come on.
Hit that like. Now what was your question, Cody?
Do you find the argument from Oklahoma State fans viable that their biggest concern is they will not find somebody that's better than Mike Gundy, or do you think it's time that we just kind of move on from that thought process?
Cody, I think y'all need to find somebody who will come in and produce the best kind of winning that you can find at OSU. I think you need to move beyond Mike Gundy.
Do you think that, and I heard this a little bit earlier, the devil's advocate side to setting the example that 3-9 is unacceptable is, well, when coaches watch you fire the most legendary coach of all time, why would they want to come to university? Do you find that argument viable?
Cody, me as a fan, not at OSU, no matter what color we wear, 3-9 should never be acceptable at any university, in my opinion.
Ever. Yeah. And to piggyback off that, please. Do you know how coaches they have egos? I mean, we're talking about one right now that has a freaking ego that, shit, this guy's getting $9 million a year to win like 8 and 9 games. He doesn't even have to win conference championships or beat his rival very often. I mean, what's not to love? It automatically becomes the most popular job opening in the country right now.
And
because they haven't fired Ohio State or anybody like that. But you know what I'm saying? That's the biggest opening in the country right now to me. Go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
I'll just what Purple Orca said when y'all have 20 of 22 starters returning.
Yeah.
And you go 3-9. That's unacceptable, brother.
Right.
I mean, very unacceptable. Which is why I feel because I watched a legendary coach from my program have to leave. 2 of them, Barry Switzer and Bob Stoops.
Yep.
So, but we had to move beyond that. I would like to see Oklahoma State get a coach that comes in and forges his own legacy. Something that your university can hang your hat on.
It's such a defeatist way to go about things too. To like, we can never be as good as we were with Mike Gundy. Oh, yeah. That's such a terrible defeatist way to look at it. No way.
Well, dude, I've always been, I don't know, kind of against that argument, primarily because I firmly believe that Mike Holder and Boone Pickens were equally, if not more so, responsible for the newfound success. I mean, it took Mike Gundy putting the right coordinators in place and this and that and the other. Mm-hmm. I understand that. I agree with that. I get that. But, okay, the perfect example in why I thought maybe Mike Gundy might, restructure today. The only time Mike Gundy has been forced to hire somebody was Dana Holgorsen.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next year we won the Big 12 title. So the one time Mike Gundy was forced to make a hire, he hated it, right? And he took it out on Holgorsen, but it worked.
I thought him and Holgorsen were homies.
Huh?
I thought him and Holgorsen were homies. I didn't even know that.
Well, he did fly to Nebraska yesterday, and the presumption is to meet with Holgorsen to bury the hatchet for whatever.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why he was in Nebraska yesterday.
Huh.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Couldn't have been over there. He certainly wasn't over there recruiting.
No. We already got sand floors. We don't need to go back up there no more.
Yeah, we don't need nobody else.
That's right.
Whatever do you mean?
That rule can have that. All right.
Yeah. Holy crap.
Now, it is kind of wild, though. I've heard from other fan bases, the common consensus around the country is Oklahoma State is stupid. How dumb are they to get rid of Mike Gundy? And I've already heard, like, West Virginia, Coos sent me a message, and he was like, y'all really wouldn't do this, would you? And I was like, yeah, it looks like it's.
Oh, my God. Well, hey, man, you can't listen to West Virginia people. They're
and
right now.
Dude, all the West Virginia people, including Coos, were like, dude, we'll take Gundy off your hands in a heartbeat. And I was like, you guys say that now. You say that now, but that's because some of the skeletons have been buried in Stillwater so well.
Yeah.
Honestly, man, there's no way that all of this was just football related. I'm going to keep reiterating it.
Cody, and you're absolutely, think about it. He literally went at Big 12 Media Days and said, I've done that 1,000 times, drinking and driving. And he thought that was the right thing to say in that situation. This is and I'm not telling you.
I didn't hate that comment at the time.
Listen, but I know you didn't, but you're a knucklehead too.
That's because I thought we were about to win a Big 12 title. So.
Yeah, you're a knucklehead too. But that's the point. I would look at it more in terms of it was just the wrong message to send. You know what I'm saying? It's not. Yeah. It's not. Listen, we're gonna. All you had to say was, you know what, we're gonna handle this internally, and yes, he's gonna play. Mm-hmm. Why should I punish the fans? Why should I punish the fans? That would have been a smart move. Why should I punish his teammates by not, by doing that? We got a chance to do something special here. You made a mistake. We'll take care of it inside the house. That's all he had to say. But yeah, in true Gundy fashion, he had to say something stupid instead. It just
you can say crazy stuff when you're winning, but when you're over, it hits way different.
Oh yeah, now you're hating. Now you're like that poker.
Pretty much.
Well, Cody, here's
again, like the more stuff that matriculates out naturally, I think people are going to be able to connect some of the dots, right? You guys, as fans, have kind of seen some stuff over the years, right? And you're like, okay, well, I heard that story, and I heard that story, and I heard that comment, and I read that somewhere. Mm-hmm. Oh, I guess it all does make sense. Mm-hmm. I think that there's going to be more layers to Gunner transferring. I think there's going to be more layers to Gundy selling his ranch. I have a feeling that there's a lot more that's to all this than just going 3-9.
I guess that makes sense.
And yes, Jason, Cody did say that Mike Gundy is probably still concussed after headbutting old Bessie.
Oh, Bessie! Yeah, Bessie got the best of him that day, huh?
He's still concussed. And for that, I do feel bad for him. We're getting ready. We're trying to get a guy to accept an ultimatum that might not know what day it is. That's almost unfair. If
it wasn't Gundy, I'd feel bad for him.
That's like pushing somebody on stage to run for president that don't know how to change his draws. It's the same concept. No? Too far? All right.
Oh, I love it. I'm just not saying it. I'm just going to leave it to you.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing we're not.
Not my show. Not my show, brother.
Cody, this is what I tell everybody that comes on my show. Please do not speak with filters, because Jason will tell you I'm very unfiltered.
Well, you didn't tell me that, so I showed up with a filter.
Lies and propaganda.
Yes, filter, sir. Okay, this thing, not this thing don't have one. That's why I hide behind this deal.
Awesome. What's with the baby face thing? Did you lose a bet?
No, I didn't. Look at that. Well, I don't know if you can tell. I have a white patch. I got like alopecia of the face. I don't know what happened. Mike Gundy did this to my face. I can't grow a beard no more. I seriously cannot. It started turning white and then it stopped growing. And then it looked like I was a special needs child that doesn't know how to operate a razor. So now I have to shave every day again. Like I'm back in basic training and I hate it. Thank you. Thank you for peeling.
Just stick your head up something.
No,
had your little head in the place that you weren't supposed to be.
No, Cody is not high as hell, but Cody's high on life right now.
Yeah,
he is high as hell on life right now. Yes, he is. We had to talk, Legend. We had to talk about maybe a month and a half ago, and we were talking about something that had been going on with the program and stuff, and the whole Dickie thing. And I was kind of wearing his ass out. He's going, bro. I know, man, but I just want it so bad. I feel really good for you today, man. That's. I was just coming in to bust your chops, no matter what.
This
but
is
I
good
love
stuff,
it.
Cody.
Yeah, dude. I obviously put out my story about a month too early. Hey, it happens. I did learn a lesson. I will tell you that. Sometimes being the first.
Well, Cody,
necessity.
I can honestly say on me and Jason's live when you put out that Mike Gundy shouldn't be headbutting farm animals or something. Me and Jason was using that.
Nice.
That was our sound clip, wasn't it, Jason?
Oh, for real?
Crying laughing that day. Yes.
Good.
It was great. It was fucking great.
I try to do what I can to contribute. All right.
Yeah, you do what you do. You do what you do, man. All you got to do is be you. You always provide some kind of entertainment.
You do, Cody.
I appreciate that. Hey, I did want to say.
I got to skedaddle off of here too, but I'm gonna.
Let me say something real quick.
Okay.
I wanted to give some love to Greg Swaim and I know that you guys were tight, man, and just wanted to say that I love the dude too, man. He was a good dude. He's pretty wild cat, man, but I love the dude, and I think that I know he's suffered through that stuff, but he fought his ass off for a while on that, and so just kind of shouting and just want to tell you I've been thinking about you. I know it's been probably pretty tough on you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I actually tried to do like a tribute to him Sunday, and I couldn't do it. I'm just gonna be 100% real with you. I couldn't do it. So, I had to wait a little bit of time. It does suck, right? Because he was realistically, whenever I first got this job, 2 years ago, I reached out to the Robert Allens and the Scott Wrights and the Barry Trammels of the world just to kind of get a general understanding of what this industry is supposed to look like, right? Mm-hmm. And I did not reach out to Greg because at the time I thought Greg was a little bit above where I was looking to be. But thankfully, after a couple months, Greg sent me a message, and that's how we started talking. And he was telling me stuff that Jason has told me about how you have to relax on Mike Gundy. You cannot be the most I hate Gundy person in the room all the time, or you'll never, ever, ever have any sort of a fan base.
I never said such a thing. Never, ever, ever.
Mike Gundy. Wait, what did you just say?
I never told you to not go crazy on Mike Gundy. I'm all for it. Just kidding. I got a reputation to uphold, bro. I got a reputation of a Gundy hater to uphold. Come on.
Yeah, no, it was. I was getting professional advice from people like Greg, and he was telling me how to orchestrate within the right names in the departments to avoid, and the right names in the departments to get information from, and all of that stuff. So, yeah, Greg was absolutely massive for me getting this whole thing off the ground. So. Yeah, it'll suck because he was my basketball guy, right? So I'd have him on every year, a few times a year. I appreciate that. And I don't know if you saw, I did get podcast of the week, though.
Good job, Cody.
No kidding. Where'd that come from? Where did it come from?
I got a message. I hit 500,000 views the other day, and then I got a message from Locked On Bosses that my show got audited, and I was like, "Oh shit, what do I do now?" And he said, "Congrats!" He's like, "Your show got audited. You got pod of the week." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool." Because I do say some crazy shit occasionally. right? So there's
A little
times I
bit.
wonder
I love
how
it.
my job's looking. I don't know.
Hey,
Listen,
Cody, before you get out of here, tell everybody where they can find you at, brother.
Yeah, Locked On Oklahoma State, daily podcast, obviously on YouTube, Spotify, all of the podcasts and daily hobbies. And then if you want to see some of my craziness online, it's at All Day O State on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. The thing with the bird,
the old X-Bird.
the old X bird, old big homie Elon.
Yeah. And Cody, you're welcome to come on this show anytime you want to, brother.
Well,
Honestly, I've been trying to invite him for like weeks, and he won't come on my show. So I guess
wish we had more cross sectionality, right? But y'all being in the SEC makes it somewhat difficult. But we are going to have nuanced conversations. I feel like between the three of us, because now that Mike Gundy might be legitimately 100% gone. The next coach is going to be intelligent to try to bring Bedlam back in some capacity, in my opinion.
Before you get out of here, Cody, why can't each school, Oklahoma State, because now that we're in the SEC, we play, like this year, we played the Maine Black Bears. Who in the hell are they? Why can't we make that game our annual Bedlam game?
I agree, guys. This year could have been the pillow fight of the century.
It could have been.
We missed it. We missed
the pillow fight of the century. What a dick. No, that was great.
Well, Jason, once you go ahead,
that might be my parting shot. You can clip that one.
My guy. Awesome.
Jason, they all know where they can find you, but if they don't know where to find you, where can they find you, brother?
I'm gonna be on Cody's couch later. That's where. No. Hey man, you can always find me at Hall of Fame College Football. It's at HOF-CFB right here on YouTube. You can find me on the X-Bird as well. It's at JW_HOF. Thanks for having me on, man.
You don't need to come cuddle with me. I'm going to have dreams of Zach Robinson winning natties, baby.
Nobody said I was coming to cuddle with you, dude. You've got dogs.
No, don't lie. That's what you was wanting to do. They all knew it. Get out of here. Your secret's out now.
Get out of here, lucky bastard.
Well, y'all can find me. Y'all can find me here at YouTube at Sooner Legends Podcast, or you can find me on X-Bird at Okie Cowboy 1969. Guys, we thank y'all for pulling up. Thank you, Chicken, for the super chats. Thank you, Bishop Frank, for gifting a membership. Put them horns down. And Boomer Sooner.
Boomer.
And y'all pray for Mike Gundy's concussion, all right?
I'll pray
we will pray for his.
You ain't got to pray for his bank account. His bank account gonna be fine.
I'll pray for Bessie instead.
Yeah, I'll pray for Bessie. Listen, Cody, thank you for bouncing in here, brother. Jason.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we can get together again like this. This was an awesome pod tonight. Just chopping it up. So thank everybody for tuning in. Go check out these two yahoos here with me.
Yes, sir.
And y'all have a great night. God bless y'all.
God bless. Go Pokes. I had to throw that in there. That was nice.
You have pretty good timing.
Thing down.
Douchebag.